everybody. It's me, Francisco, joined by my good buddy Charles here. Andrew is he's out. He's out with the bronchitis. He's got it
The
bad.
Bronx.
Yep. So he's got it real bad, and so maybe his speaking voice isn't there right now. So I would hope he's getting a lot of gaming time going, because that's what I.
Well, I mean, bronchitis is kind of tough.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, and so especially for him, so he's battling that right now. So we don't know when he'll be back, but me and Charles are here, and we're gonna talk about. There's a few things. We got baseball. All-star teams have been announced. As much as I haven't really been following baseball this season as much as I think I'm gonna need to, given the way things are going. And let's jump into this. So, and I've even got the Marlins game in the background. If you're watching this on any other platform, and this is the way you're watching baseball with a obstructed view of a Marlins Reds game in reverse, you might want to check some other websites. So, but I'm gonna put on the screen here the MLB standings and things going on. Then we'll talk about the All-Star teams, because I've just been knee deep in hockey, or not even knee deep. I'm drowning in hockey right now. So, and hockey's had some stuff with the. We had the draft, we had opening of free agency, and so has the NBA. I mean, we got some stuff with the Heat as well. We could always talk about that too.
I guess I should comment
because there's some longtime guy who has left the team now, and so.
It's a fandom show, everybody, but we in that fandom have baseball or sports included.
True. So, let me put this on here, and I've got the big screen on in the video version here. And, as far as the NHL is concerned, the Panthers have signed everybody. Everybody's staying.
Like, legit everybody.
Sam Bennett, Brad Marchand, Aaron Ekblad. Tomas Nosek is staying along as well. I think only about maybe 4 or 5 guys have left the team, but only one of them was an impact guy, Nate Schmidt, so far. So pretty much we're going to have 90% of the team returning for a very, very good opportunity to try and go for the three-peat, which in my opinion would be an actual dynasty. But I've seen the point of 2 and 3 years and the salary cap era that this might be, but I really want that 3, because with the third one, there's no argument against it. There's no argument. Oh, that's not a dynasty. It is a dynasty. Nobody can take that away. Nobody can put asterisks next to it. That's what an actual dynasty would be the first one in the NHL since the 80s. For a three-peat. No team has done that in a very long time, and even in sports, right? I mean, who's the last team that's done that?
Gotta be one of the Lakers teams, man.
Right? The Lakers, the Patriots.
But I don't think they were a three-peat.
Yeah, I don't think they had like 3 and 4 a couple times, and then
it was like
the
a
Warriors.
When they flipped with it.
Warriors had 3 and 4.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, probably those Lakers teams. And then behind that, the Yanks. So it's been a long time. The NHL hasn't had it since the 80s, and So I can't even think. I don't think the NFL has had one.
No, well, I mean, probably except for like the old Green Bay days, right? And that doesn't count.
Yeah, no, anything pre-Super Bowl.
Very small.
Yeah. So.
And I think it legitimizes, to steal a little bit of that, I think it legitimizes. I think actually dynasties and three-peats are best for teams. The people who hate are the ones whose teams aren't the dynasty, but it does bring the casual fan bases out there. But it does incentivize like sports teams and owners and CEOs to actually change some stuff, because you get jealous, and jealousy is what makes you want to do better, right?
Well, that's the hope for most teams. But we're gonna look at the MLB standings right now. I got them up here on the screen. So we'll go through the division leaders, and then we'll run through the wild cards and see how those are going. But we'll work backwards. Actually, we'll end with we'll end with our divisions first, because we could just kind of rattle this off. So the NL West, the Dodgers are in first. They've lost 6 games in a row. which has brought the Giants within 5.
But
So
no one ever talks crap about them. God forbid we lose in first place despite
true.
having all the injuries that we have, right? But no. Preferential treatment.
Yeah, and there's always Shohei Ohtani post every day. So
Mid.
yeah, San Francisco Giants 5 games back in the wild card race. Same thing with San Diego. Same thing with Arizona. But they're 10 games back. They're kind of struggling. They're probably not.
They had a lot of injuries.
Yeah.
Corbin Carroll kind of went cold, and then Corbin Burns.
Yeah.
Their big free agent signing. Bye. That Tommy John. So you don't win that.
So yeah, Arizona's just gonna have to stick with this and just kind of roll through it with the season, and I doubt that there'll be buyers for this at least. But they've got some guys. They've got some guys. Ketel Marte, Eugenio Suarez. He's mashing, and then you have the.
It depends on. Yeah. It depends if they keep Terry LeMayo. Because that's look at Baltimore, right? Brandon Hyde, who should not have been fired. We all declarately agree with that. Gets fired because of injuries and then bad play, less bad play, but still some bad play. But, there goes him. So Terry LeMayo, who deserves to stay on that team. I don't know how pragmatic Arizona is because they've been perpetually in the suck, except for like the last 2 years.
Yeah. Colorado's awful. The Rockies are minus 243 in run differential. They've only won 21 games, and they've got 71 losses, and they are well on their way to trying to break the White Sox's record, given the way that we're almost at the All-Star break here, and they could legitimately be at least knocking on the door of 80 losses by that point.
Remember, like a couple of years ago, probably 2 years ago, we were talking about like franchises you should dissolve, and we have both Colorado and Chicago on there, despite they weren't even this record piss poor.
I've always said, Rockies fans.
Just dissolve them.
I've it's not really it might be slight jealousy, but it's not really a jealousy anymore the way I think of it with Rockies fans, because like, oh, you're just jealous that they show up to games no matter how bad the team is. I'm just like, those are just terrible fans. I legitimately think the Rockies fans are the worst in baseball because they don't demand. You have the hardcore, but the rest of the Rockies, as far as the sports town is concerned, like they could care less. Which is like, where's the push? Where's the demand outside of the?
We're a bag on that.
Yeah,
kind of thing, right?
where's outside of the Denver Broncos? I think they legitimately don't really care about the other 3 teams, right?
That's fair. Well, they care about the Nuggets, I guess. But,
no, they
Denver is a very secluded thing compared to Colorado.
I mean, Denver. I mean, they're all the teams there, right? It's the Nuggets.
But you know how it is.
The Avs, and they've got good teams right now with the Avs and the Nuggets, but they don't really demand much more from any of those teams, and the Rockies especially. So it's like, it's just a nice time.
It's tough with the Nuggets because no matter what, the Nuggets were kind of perpetually good except for that Brian Shaw era. After Malone had not Malone, but George Karl had been fired, right?
Yeah.
And the Avalanche, I can't speak enough to hockey to go from there. You can, but I'll take your word on that one.
The Avs have never had really any big, long down periods. Maybe probably that time between after like Patrick Roy retired, and then they were kind of mid, just kind of lurking around, and then they bottomed out. They got Nathan McKinnon the same year the Panthers got Barkov, and then both teams just kind of had the same sort of trajectory where they both got good around the same time. And the
Avalanche won.
They won in 2022. Yeah, they won in 2022, so they broke out of it. It's a good franchise, and they're run by Joe Sakic, and but
did them and Denver win it the same year? That's so interesting.
Back-to-back years. Back-to-back.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
And then there's the Rockies.
But anyways, Rockies fans, there's no incentive for that team to get better, so they never will.
Wouldn't you say that's kind of like Seattle Mariners as well? I mean, like they got some, and you can't see me, but finger quote, like legitimate star players, debatable right now on Julio Rodriguez.
Yeah.
But still.
Yeah. Well, I guess, but Seattle's at least trying right now. I think they've tried every single, I don't think there's ever been a season where the Mariners haven't tried. It's just like, for whatever reason, they just can't do it. So they've always had legitimately good players and teams that like, oh man, if one thing had gone right, they might have actually made the playoffs. But All right. NL Central, Chicago Cubs leading. Brewers are right behind them. So that's going to be a fight for the rest of the year.
It's like that every year. Boring ass.
Yeah, it's been the same for like the last 2-3 years now between the Cubs and the Brewers. The Cardinals are not terrible this year. So they've found a way to do some of their dark magic to be good again. The Reds are 500 right now, hanging around. First year of Terry Francona there. So there's actual improvement compared to whoever their manager was, Derek Bell or something like that last year. So,
yeah.
So I think they'll probably be better next year. I mean, everywhere Terry Francona goes, a team gets good. So they'll probably be good by the next year. And then the Pirates,
it's like Doc Rivers, but legitimate.
And the Pirates, who are everybody's just waiting for Paul Skeens to just leave. So that's all that we're all waiting for. So, and that's the only thing good about that team.
To New York.
Yeah, everybody keeps saying that.
O'Neal Cruz isn't bad.
No, he's not, but I think he's been injured and things like that. Yeah. And it's just everybody's kind of buried there in Pittsburgh. And they have Brian Reynolds in center field, who also made a big mistake by signing a huge contract there and should have just left. But they can just trade him later, so they'll probably do that anyways. Right, I'll just move on to the AL West, and then we'll get to our divisions after that. The Astros are in first, so Astros are back again. Still a good team. Mariners are behind them, 6.5 games back, so Astros are kind of starting to pull away here. Texas Rangers, like, one and done with that World Series.
Well, they pulled the whole, like, let's load up on them vets like the Yanks did, instead of staying in contention like we did in 09 after. They just, died. But it's fine. You got Jake DeGrom, a title.
Yeah.
That's all I care about.
Yeah, a bunch of people there. So the Angels are still mid and terrible, just like the kind of stuck in purgatory where they're just not bad enough to get anybody good, and then not good enough to even make the playoffs.
Well, like, Mike Trout's not dead and dying because his batting average is down this season, but your kind of designated hitters kind of have that happen because they transition to, like, just hit the ball when we need you to hit the ball, then you're good. We're not going to care if your, batting average is like 227. It's the Giancarlo concept, right? I don't need you to be hitting 300, brother. I need you to hit dingers. And, he did miss some games, and he's still a super likable player. So,
yeah. But I think they've moved him to right field now, or left field, so he's not playing center anymore. All right, and the A's are in Sacramento, and it's terrible. All the players hate it. I think Luis Severino was their only, he's their highest paid free agent in their entire franchise history. And he made a huge mistake because he hates it in Sacramento right now.
He didn't make a huge mistake. The guy had to get paid considering
he got paid.
You got to remember.
But he's in the worst
the man was in the ERA levels of a 7 as a starting pitcher with the Yankees, and then went to the Mets, rehabilitated a little bit, little being the very operative word here, choice word. So you got to take it, man. You need a job, right?
Yeah.
We're cutting unemployment, boys. We ain't giving you no money, no welfare. You gotta find a way. That's Luis Severino mindset. Let's go to Sacramento.
Yeah. The Detroit Tigers are the best team in the major leagues right now.
Good for them.
So
right,
AJ Hinch has proving he's an actual good manager and didn't need the trash cans. But that was Carlos Beltran's whole shtick, right? So
yeah, that was his whole thing. But they had that runner coming into the postseason, and then aside from Screwball, they got Jack Flannery, and then they got, what's his name, had a resurgence. They're
Javier Baez.
Yeah, who was just like
they moved him to center field or something like that. They moved him into the outfield, and he just suddenly became good again. So
and that happened, but yeah, he doesn't get tested for steroids. Right?
He's not Dominican. He's Puerto Rican. The Royals, the rest of the American League Central is just awful. The Royals are 45-48. The Twins are 44-47. The Cleveland lost like 10 games in a row and are out of it. And then
which is so tough because we all kind of like Jose Ramirez, right? He's a big beefy boy who,
they went to the ALCS last year. And they just kind of...
It's like Manny Ramirez without the ego, if that makes sense.
Then the White Sox are still terrible, but not as terrible as the Rockies.
Yeah.
All right. So NL East, the Phillies are in first. They've been jockeying with the Mets. for that lately. So, and every now and then, one team goes on a skid, one team goes on a tear, and then they just kind of trade back and forth with that. Because the Mets lost like 6 games in a row, and then they rattled off 4 in a row. So it all evens out, and same thing with the Phils. So that's how it's going to be until the end of the season for those two teams. The Marlins are in 3rd place.
Hell yeah.
42 and 48, still a losing record.
I'm probably seeing them in August for my birthday, so hell yeah.
Still with a losing record, but they've got a winning record on the road, which is surprising. They've won 11 games in a row on the road, but they're going to lose today because they're playing the Reds right now, and it looks like it's like 5-0, and it's looking like Cincinnati's going to break that streak, but it's fine. It's fine. They're playing above their. I don't know if they're playing above their heads. I don't know if actual Peter Bendix actually cooked. Oh, that's another thing. I forgot. I went to Seattle this year. I don't think we. Yeah. I went to Seattle.
We did because we were
didn't
so
talk
hard
about
on the
that.
gaming.
Yeah.
We integrated Andrew.
That's right.
You see, this is relevant.
I went to Seattle with my dad to watch the Marlins over there, and they won the game over there in Seattle. And I met the Marlins GM, who I've been trashing on social media every now and then. But this season, I've actually been saying, has he cooked? Is he cooking? And I actually met him at the what is it, the public market over there in Seattle, the famous one. So I just kind of just ran into him like, "Are you Peter Bendix?" He's like, "Oh." He's like, "Yeah."
I didn't even know you did that.
Yeah, I did.
That's like a first time.
Yeah, I never told that to you guys. Really? Okay.
No, yeah.
Yeah, I tweeted it, but yeah. So yeah, I met him. We shook hands.
Follow us on Twitter, Charles.
I did. Oh yeah. Do the plugs.
Sports Goofs _ Goofs. Stanford Holays. Panthers historian. Marlins historian. You know, you gotta know when to plug it, man. You're too rusty.
So I was me and my dad were walking around Seattle. The game was later on that night, and we were just walking around the fish market, and I'm like, "Is that Peter Bendix?" And I'm like, "Bobby," because my dad will talk to anybody. He'll just go up to anybody and just be like, and he's like, "Excuse me, are you Peter?" And he's like, "Yeah." And I'm like, we came all the way from South Florida. Oh, okay. And then I did say, and I did legitimately mean this, that the team does play with a lot of heart. We did call up Agustin Ramirez at that time, was our sensational catcher right now. Could be Rookie of the Year. One of the, legitimately a very, very great pickup. And just getting all these extra base hits. He hit his first home run in Seattle. We saw that at that game. So we saw that too, and I did legitimately say, look, hey, I think this team does play with a lot of heart. Nobody believes in them, so we'll see what happens. It's like, okay, and then went off in our separate ways after that. But yeah, that did happen. I went to Seattle, saw T-Mobile Park now. That's what it's called, and nice stadium. Nice weather in Seattle. I legitimately think I could live there. I really do think
it's not perpetually 95 degrees.
Yeah. Obviously, I haven't gone. I haven't gone in the winter, so it's different. But the city was fairly clean, for the most part, and the market was nice. My dad loved it, and like compared to the last city that we went to, which was Philly, he loved.
I'm sorry. Release the chats one day. I don't know how we, made Philly nice in comparison to some of the debauchery.
Yeah. So when you contrast from that, yeah, Seattle's fantastic. But even then, yeah, it's one of my favorite cities I've visited so far. And Mariners do it pretty good over there as well. We sat right behind the Marlins dugout, and just had a great time there. We went to Mount Rainier to see the mountain. I've never been that outside of Denver. I haven't been that high up in a long time.
I just want to tell people that this hoe, and I'm not counting as a curse word, we don't get known those pictures. I'm in that chat. I'm saying photos of my food.
I sent you the photo of me jumping into the lake for the dark place.
That's true. Yeah, I got that one. I got that one thing. I get no.
Everything else I posted on Marlins history, so that's where you should have seen me. Yeah, but fun trip, and I do recommend Seattle. As far as food, all the food is good. I mean, you go out there, you get seafood. That's what you do.
Yeah.
So
Get a lobster roll, man. Call it a day.
well, I'd die if I got that, but yeah.
Yeah, I know. Well, I'm talking about for me. If I'm there.
But no,
I don't mind sushi, but sushi to me is an appetizer. I'm gonna mess up some lobster.
yeah, we went there. We ate Mount Rainier. We ate out of a train. There was like a restaurant. They turned like this old train into a restaurant, and it was like, let's eat in there. That's kind of fun and dumb, right? So we went in there, and had some fish over there. I was just having fish all over the place. So
He loves his fish, y'all.
I do love fish, so it's that's also another reason why I think I could live there. I could just live on a all fish diet and be healthy and just die of mercury poisoning. So that'd be great. Yeah. So Seattle, fantastic city. I really liked it. Marlins are doing well right now, and I'm gonna have to start. I have been starting to wind down the Stanley Cup high right now. The names are being etched into the cup, and then we'll eventually get each player getting a day with it. But I'm finally kind of getting it out of my system a little bit, and NHL free agency and all that stuff happening, and Panthers keeping everybody. So now I'm just kind of like, okay, now with this Marlins team who is doing well, and we fleeced the Baltimore Orioles because our all-star this year was in a trade for Trevor Rogers of all people, who's not doing well for them. Well, nobody's doing well for Baltimore right now. So Marlins are doing great. They're doing better than the Braves, who have lost 5 in a row. Marlins surpassed them. I still think Ronald Acuna Jr., who is starting the exactly.
How is he gonna start? The man has I understand he's putting on some baby bombs right now.
It's in Atlanta. That's why.
Yeah, sure, the body of work. And my paralegal is a Braves fan, and so I would not let him live up when Acuna got the MVP for the NL this season. What, for stealing big bases?
Yeah.
Okay, he's a pizza box snatcher. What am I supposed to do? That should have been Freddie's, or that should have been Mookie's.
And
still to this day.
And the Braves.
I hate the All-Star, man.
The Braves' biggest mistake was not signing Freddie Freeman back, because he was the actual soul of the team. He was, at least. And he's the reason.
He got hurt in their World Series.
No, he got hurt before. He got hurt like 6 months before they got. Like when he got.
That's what I'm saying. Like in general.
When he got hurt, that's when the Braves took off. Yeah. And so he puts up numbers, but he's like Carmelo Anthony, who just got the cover of.
That is damning.
They just put him on the cover of NBA 2K26.
Yeah, no one ever thought about Carmelo. I like Melo. I feel like if he was like in 2022 or 2002, 2005 draft class, it would have been felt different. But he ain't the special one coming out of his draft class,
Yeah. And I don't have bad things to say about Carmelo Anthony, but it's just like you stat padded your entire career.
Ooh, there were some inflammatory statements.
I mean, he did.
I mean, I'm not fighting you on it. After man had he had the basically of going to the black hole that is the Raiders kind of thing for a star player of death. That makes sense for anybody who's a cross player fan of any kind of sport. Because you had his time in Denver and he was sensational, especially when they tried that terrible project between him and AI. Then he went to New York and he made New York mildly interesting, but not great, right? Because he got overshadowed by Lynn Sandy. And then you just kind of forgot about him. He was like a fart that gave you a little bit of doo-doo. You forgot about it. What I mean? It's okay.
He started bouncing around. He was in with the Trailblazers. And
well, I think that was just a quick buyout. Like, hold on. Player we never forget, even though he's going to be a Hall of Famer.
Carmelo Anthony.
Yeah, I'm not even looking at stats. I know they're gonna pop it in.
Yeah, but
national champion took Syracuse to the big one, and here we are.
And Shea Gilgeous is on the cover.
That's fair. That's fine.
So it seems
ironically, I get the free one with Jason Tatum because I wouldn't have bought it because my pace. All right, so for Melo, he was in Denver from 19 to 26 for about 7 years. He was with the Knicks from when he was like 26 to 32. Then he had like 1 year where he played 78 games at OKC.
Oh, that's right.
Then
He
like
went to
just
OKC.
10 games with Houston, and
Houston,
then
dear Lord.
58 with Portland. And I don't even remember like
Wasn't he on the?
anything.
Did he go to Lakers for like?
Yeah, his final season with the Lakers.
Okay.
You know, he played a total of 69 games with them. Nice. But like, you know, say look, man, say what y'all want. I mean, look, his career averages. The guy's career average is 22.5. It's not like he was a scoring option in those weird random stopgaps. Like, you know, OKC when it was 33, 16.2, and then Houston 13.4, and then Portland 15.4, and then Portland again 13.
I'm just saying that,
but you just forget it.
He didn't move the needle for those teams.
Yeah,
which is what Ronald Acuna Jr. is to the Atlanta Braves. He doesn't move the needle, and he's notoriously played bad in the postseason and even in the World Baseball Classic. He was terrible.
And especially since that's a franchise that that they do have to harbor some excellent Hall of Famers that they've had. Chipper, Tom, the rest of that pitching murderers row that they had going in the 90s, right? And then, you know, Freddie walks against the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, Freddie is like hands down. But should he be enshrined as a Brave? You tell me. I don't know, man. Yeah, he probably will because he's a classy guy, but the petty in me is like, no, don't do that.
If he gets a second one in LA.
You already got two, man. You were the big game changer. It wasn't the Shohei stuff. Really, like, Shohei was a big game changer. Let me rephrase that. I will acknowledge that as a hitting perspective, but you overpaid on a guy for a designated hitter. But hey, you're not the Mets, so right. But like it is a 1-2 combo because Freddie was consistent in the World Series victory. I was about to flat that because motherfucker just bombed us. Trust me, I know. I hate Freddie Freeman because I always wanted him.
Yeah,
always.
All around good dude as well. He's invited to the cookout too. People don't realize. So
completely.
Yeah, especially speaking of cookout, Charles is black.
God. You want to give some backstory on that?
Yeah, I just want a tangent on this.
Employers are gonna be like, "What is this?" I'm like,
so I was just dicking around on ChatGPT, and I was like, I don't know, let me just throw something in there, and I kind of just like I put like a link to our show from one of those websites that kind of aggregates all the stuff our podcasts have done and stuff like that. And I'm just like, just create an image of the show, just like of the show, and it just like it popped out. Probably the funniest thing I've seen in a while. It popped out me, fairly, except I was kind of ginger, which is weird.
You look like you drink craft beer every day, and you like your chai latte with fake milk.
Yeah, I had glasses on, but I had a Florida Panthers jersey on, so I'm like, okay, that makes sense. Andrew was just the UCF mascot.
My theory, because I believe he's that
Fear
UFC
the Pegasus
or UCF Fear the Pegasus guy, and Andrew's like, it's not me. I'm like, sure.
Yeah,
I can tell online Twitter trolls when I see him.
Yep. So, and then you were just I'm trying to compare what you look like. Oh man, I'm trying to think of a show.
I don't know how to make that.
Oh, wait. It's just like, I think it was like American Dad, where like Steve and all of them were like reminiscing about a summer, and like they had one black friend, and he just showed up out of nowhere. You kind of look like that guy. So
my problem is, I feel like I look like that. But the ChatGPT thing is like, remember the old comics where the guy would have like the grim sense of humor?
Yeah.
And I don't know how I'll find it, but yeah, like I don't want to digress into it. I'm looking at it right now. It's beautiful. Yeah. It's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my life. It was absolutely perfect because of everything in the chat and people who know me and what kind of food I like and what kind of music I might listen to. I'm not running into any kind of stereotype there.
And I'm hoping it kind of aggregated everything you've ever said into like.
It really feels like.
It's like, well, because I didn't give it a description, like describe what we look like based on our comments, but it kind of just popped that out. I'm just like.
What kills me is that I should look, your character should look more like me when I had the beard, looking like a more handsome J.D. Vance. But I can't. I'm just looking at. I have no character to compare it to
Yeah.
at the moment. I'm sure I'll find it. It's just perfect
Yeah.
every step of the way.
So hold on. I'm actually gonna post it on the video version right now.
It's beautiful.
Um, so let me get image. Let's just load it, and I put it in documents real quick. Oh, where'd it go? There it is. All right, so I got it there. That's our show. It's just yeah. So that's Charles, you know.
Perfect. It's perfect to me.
And then we just started rattling off, you know, references to the Boondocks and that episode of Aqua Teen when Shake was black for once, and then the episode of Always Sunny when they were black.
So much of everything.
Speaking of Boondocks, favorite episode.
Oh, Booty Warrior, hands down,
Yeah.
without question. I watch it once a year. It is beautiful as a education on the need for prison reform and how we privatize people. We purposely want to keep them there, and then also the joys of certain things, of orifices.
Yeah.
I always have to walk the line with what we do for a living when I make statements. Francis could be a little bit more unhinged. I don't get that pleasure.
Yeah. That Always Sunny in Philadelphia episode is pretty funny. It's a musical, so just watch it. That's great. That episode of Aqua Teen Hunger Force, where Shake is bitten by a radioactive black man, and then turns into a black version of himself, which is great. Just fantastic way that turned out. Okay.
I think it took from my episode talking about how much I love spicy stuff, and they just said, "Oh, let's just make it worse." Here. I think it was like talking about Palm Beach hot chicken, which is excellent, by the way,
yes,
as y'all all know. I'm gonna have to do that as I'm leaving and pulling me all my greatest hits that I love.
So yeah, that was a great tangent there, and yeah, the Washington Nationals are somewhere there. All right, the American League.
They just fired. They fired Dave Martinez finally, and then they got.
Honestly, I'm surprised he stuck around for that long. I mean, you won yourself a world.
Man.
You won yourself a World Series, and then you knew the team was rebuilding. There's
Dave
some.
Martinez is a hero. He's Mr. Cushy Job, dude. That's what happened.
Yeah, but I get it.
Want to leave a shirt thing.
Okay. Well, I mean, and like he's got the pedigree now with that title, especially the way that they won it. That he can get a job elsewhere. So, just like okay, fine. That's I'm just surprised.
And he will get a job.
Yeah.
AJ Hinch got a job. He'll get a job.
Yeah. All right, American League East. Work from the bottom, work away to the top. The Orioles are bad, and minus 83 run differential. They can't pitch, and they just can't pitch. They can't hit. They can't do anything. Nothing's going right for them. Fired their manager, and we just talked about that. The Red Sox are 48 and 45. They've rattled off 5 games in a row right now. So they're just kind of they're looming back there. They traded out Rafael Devers because they kept moving around. He was upset about that, and they finally sent San Francisco.
May I hook onto that for 2 seconds?
Yeah.
What that is the fakest franchise that you never want to be drafted to. It's only the scrubs like Damon. You know, they love to cast us, right? They made their name and bread and butter off of players that played elsewhere to go successes. But anytime you have a homegrown legend, and they've had 3 homegrown legends just in the last 10 years, and they just sent them out. Mookie.
Yep.
Bogarts, which is debatable whether or not it was bad to send them out, but stop giving people 13-year extensions then.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just trade them on the low value instead of trade them with a contract. And then Devers. And I always like Devers. And, you know, that's the problem I have with that. Y'all know I hate that organization, so I'll always hate them. But like Alex Cora is just the devil to me. He should not be allowed to be managing in the MLB. What the hell? But yet, I'm gonna hold myself back. I was about to say some like stuff that was gonna get me in trouble, but it's fine. But you look at like the quality of like every GM kind of does it, and then they say we're gonna be a better team without him. Anybody could be a better team. You can have a winning season by just being a shade over 100 in baseball. That's like 88 wins. You know, that's it, or you know, something around that measure. Don't make me do math, please. I'm a lawyer still for now, right? But you want to always have the end game being championship or World Series, right? That's the mindset, and then they really just play. I'm about to drop the nuke. I have never seen a team that literally, aside from the last 15 years, does not have this historic organization, right, of importance. Make it seem like we're the Red Sox. You guys are gonna love it, and they feed you this bull crap. Literally, that's who they are now. You had amazing stuff that happened with Tito and the team they had there, and who you brought over, because you had to bring over Ortiz, you had to bring over Manny, and you had to bring over every other back and blah 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 blah, right? And then you have the cheater's your pumpkin eater, Alex Cora, who should be banned. And then after that, on the steep decline, you're rested on your laurels. I'm sure they sell a lot of casual merch, right, coming into it across the places not in Boston, but you at least have to kind of get something, because when my team gets flack from it, at least we can say we made the World Series, right? We lost, sure, but we made it, right? Or we've gone to the ALCS in the Spence, got tapped real hard by Houston, but hey, we still got there. But you take away, their title in 2018, and then he's out. They put in Valentine, and then he's out. Like, you don't want to pay the people when you can't get that level of production to get you to a NLCS or ALCS conference game, right, or series, whatever you want to call it, and then the World Series. You at least want to get players that a team like the homegrowns, the fans, can want to stay attached to, regardless. All bad teams had it. You guys had it, right? You trade them away, but there was guys, right? At least more than after you signed the big contract. Giancarlo being the one dude. They're just so arrogant. They're like, we're the Red Sox. You ain't important right now. Recency bias really dictates your report, but your entirety, you don't get that love. It's the reason why the Cubs still get that love a little bit, right? Even though they have that one title from back in 2016, 2014, whatever, 2013. I digress. I can talk about my hatred all day.
The Rays are hanging around.
Being the Rays.
Yeah. Loving that short porch now.
Really are, man.
Yeah.
Really.
I mean, they're taking
goes back to everything I tell you, dude.
Yeah. Short porch in right field at Steinbrenner Field. So somehow, some way, they're going to make the playoffs and host a playoff game there. It's going to be fun. The Yanks, it'd be funny if they faced the Yankees at Steinbrenner Field.
Right. And then the George just comes back from the dead.
Yeah.
All slimy and stuff. Like he just got resurrected. Like, all right, don't embarrass me here.
So you both have 50 wins. And then the Blue Jays, who just went on a tear recently.
It was a tear.
And are now
baseball's
first
about
place.
those heaters. But the irony to it all is, they're in first. Hey, look, I said Baltimore was going to be a good team. I believe that. Yeah, not Baltimore. Sorry, Toronto. I'm looking at stats as we're talking. Was going to be a good team, and go from there. We just had a bad slide because of the injuries. They went 9-1 the last time. We went 3-7, but like we have 102, run scored, average differential, or runs against, and they only have a plus 20. And I don't know if it's hot or not, but real people know ball, right? And the good thing is that there's still many games to play, but it's one of those things that you are going to get 3 teams out of the East regardless in the playoffs. So what does it matter anyway if you're not first? We had a bad slide coming into it, but just not Boston. That's all I got to say. But the same 3 teams are in there now, or the same teams I predicted. And then maybe, is 3 spots now for the wild cards in general?
Yep.
Maybe if Seattle can kind of get the run, they can kind of overtake Boston. But I'm not surprised. It's just, there's stuff that I want. We just, designated DJ LeMay for a simultaneous contract. Good. I like him. But the thing is that people are say, oh, you still have to play him through money and do all this stuff. That I just go say, okay, but what are we doing here? We're crying about stuff that doesn't need to be cried about. Just like make it the trade. We do have some all-stars. We have Judge expected.
Let's let me look at the all-star selections. MLB All-Star Game.
Like good for Toronto, but you still have to show up in the playoffs because they always have they're sneaky.
True.
Every time
they've always lost in the wild card round in the first round. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna sweat it.
So
but I hate Aaron Boone.
2020. Yeah. 2025 All-Star Game. We've got the NL, Will Smith for the Dodgers as catcher, Freddie Freeman at first, Ketel Marte at second for Arizona. Manny Machado, who's got 2,000 hits now with San Diego. Francisco Lindor for the Mets. Acuna Jr. with the Braves. Pete Crow Armstrong for Chicago. Kyle Tucker also for Chicago. And then Ohtani as the DH for the Dodgers there. And the rest of the NL is Hunter Goodman. Somebody had to go for the Rockies. Pete Alonso. Matt Olson. So 2 big bopper first basemen.
It's so weird because Olsen was only catching hot now, but the All-Star game is a racket, so what does it matter anyway, right?
Yeah, Atlanta. So Brendan Donovan for the Cardinals, Eugenio Suarez, another bopper, Diamondbacks, Ellie De La Cruz, bopper, Reds, Corbin Carroll, Arizona, Kyle Stowers, who we also fleeced Baltimore from. For the Marlins,
very good.
Yeah, the Fernando Tatis Jr. for San Diego, James Wood for Washington, Kyle Schwarber, bopper for Philly. And then the pitchers, Andrew Abbott, Jason Adam, Matthew Boyd, Edwin Diaz, Mackenzie Gore, Clayton Kershaw, who gets the Legends pick for this year for 3,000 strikeouts, Trevor McGill, Freddie Peralta.
I saw the funniest thing, someone saying DEI ain't so bad as it Clay.
Yeah. Chris Sale, Paul Skeens, who they're debating is whether he's going to start it. Robert Suarez, Logan Webb, Zach Wheeler, and Yoshinobu Yamamoto for the Dodgers. American League, Kyle Raleigh for Seattle.
He's tearing up.
Yeah, good catcher for Seattle.
For a catcher to be leading the league in home runs,
bopper.
Wild.
Yep.
Yeah.
Vlad Guerrero Jr. first. Gleyber Torres for Detroit. Jose Ramirez.
What fresh hell is that? Where I couldn't get Gleyber to be consistent at all for the back nine, and then he just goes off. And like AJ Hinch,
whatever Javi Baez is on is what they're on.
Yeah. Or it's either some Santero work or something else, man. Like, come on.
Yep. Jose Ramirez, Jacob Wilson for Sacramento, Javi Baez and Riley Green for the Tigers, Aaron Judge, and then Ryan Hearn for Baltimore. Those are your starters. By the way, I'm surprised someone from Baltimore and from Sacramento got in there, but they did.
You got someone from Colorado, right?
Yeah. As far as being a starter is concerned, but reserves: Alejandro Kirk for Toronto, Jonathan Aranda for Tampa, Brandon Lowe for Tampa, Alex Bregman for Boston. Yeah, former Astro and now a Red Sox.
Double cheater.
Junior Caminero for Tampa. Jazz Chisholm.
I know Andrew. Andrew's like, please don't be a molester like
Juan. Jazz Chisholm, who I still miss him. I always liked him.
The fact that he blew up because he was injured for a good portion.
He's always going to be injured. He's going to be injured. Like, at least once per season. He's going to miss about 20 games, and then he'll be back, and then he'll be back to his thing. So
he's going to be my second baseman Giancarlo mindset.
Yeah, exactly. So good for him. I'm happy for him.
Thank you.
Zach,
we love him.
Yeah. Zach McKinstry, definitely with that short porch and right, for sure. Isaac Paredes, Jeremy Pena for Houston, Byron Buxton for Minnesota, who's actually healthy this year, Bobby Witt Jr. For KC, Julio Rodriguez for Seattle, Brent Rooker for Oakland, or Sacramento, whatever, Stephen Kwan for Cleveland, and then Hunter Brown for Houston, Chris Bubik for KC, Aroldis Chapman, once again, he's somehow with Boston this time, Garrett Crochet.
Man's like 38, can just throw 100 still.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
I have no hatred in my heart for Aroldis Chapman.
Except for the domestic violence.
Yeah, well, yeah, obviously we hate that, but in today's modern day politics, we'll forgive the most egregious stuff. Like, how do you get transfer for prostitution, but not human trafficking jury for Puff Daddy? What? What? Y'all know the line of work I do for a living? Come on. Sorry.
Let's
just let it out there.
Jake DeGrom for Texas.
He's been stellar. I'm like, the Mets killed him, and he's like, I'm back. Yep. It's okay.
The Freed Fap for New York.
All right, we got to explain that because we never got into that. So, obviously,
we needed a replacement. for this year.
Yeah, my baby Garrett Cole is injured. It would have been a replacement. It would have been a double. I got two hands, right? And and so Freed, I did total calculations. The Freed FAP is the same thing as the Cole job, where it is like a win and 2 runs or less. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
You have a total of 12. I was looking, right before we got into baseball. 12. That's ridiculous. You would think it'd be Cy Young, but then there's, Tariq Skubal doing the sack right there. And like, sack, Cy Young, all that stuff. It's just nasty. And you know what? Freed, he doesn't get all the strikeouts I like, and ironically, it's kind of Rodon who does that, who is just so hot and cold. Because Rodon is like the roller coaster, going all the way up. You're like, yeah, this is good. And then there's that one game like, oh, we're about to go 90 feet down full velocity, aren't we? And you just deal with it, right? Why couldn't Garrett come back to me? Damn you, Tommy John.
Yeah. Tarek Skubal, Joe Ryan from Minnesota, Andres Munoz from Seattle, Yusei Kikuchi for Anaheim, Josh Hader for Houston, Shane Smith for the White Sox, and Brian Wu for Seattle. Those are your all-star. The American League didn't have a Legends pick, or did they? They did not.
I don't
No.
Well, one would think they put like Bregman, right?
Or Giancarlo.
Yeah, right. Just comes back for 2 games, like so. Well, actually, it feels like DeGrom would be your legend, right? If we're gonna be honest about it.
Yeah.
The Bregman thing I say as a joke, he's only like 31, I think. But yeah, I feel like, but DeGrom's just been stellar, like killing it, man. It's got like a 2-something ERA coming in.
Yeah, and that's the All-Star. That's baseball. That's baseball. All right. Well, we're at 47 minutes, but we had a late start time. It's 9:09. We could do word from our non-sponsors.
Sure.
People and places and things, concepts, what have you been enjoying over the last week. I'm actually going to recommend a YouTube channel for this one. All right. So, I've been weirdly into mountain climbing and cave diving videos lately.
Sure.
And scuba diving and things like that, and just things going horribly wrong for people. So, just a YouTube channel that I found called Scary Interesting. This guy, he's from Canada, talks about just these interesting videos of just horrible things that went wrong for people during just all kinds of scenarios, from industrial accidents to ship sailing to cave diving to construction to just all kinds of things, mountain climbing and visiting national parks, and from people that were legitimately just like, yeah, I'm gonna go climb that mountain, something goes horribly wrong, to people who are just kind of like, I'm visiting a national park and then we're not gonna do anything super dangerous, and then things went horribly wrong. Or I'm just at work and I'm just dealing with this industrial equipment and things went horribly wrong. Every now and then somebody survives, which is nice to hear, but for the most part, it's just about things just going horribly wrong, and just kind of interesting. I'm just like, I hope I'm never in that situation ever, for all these things but it's a really just scary, interesting, right? Just putting yourself in the shoes of, and the accounts of all these people and things that happen. They've got 1 million+ subscribers on YouTube, and it's just kind of nice to listen to while at work. So, just what I've been consuming for the last couple of weeks or so. I don't know, just kind of happened upon them. So
all right.
Promo code, dear God, yeah, because that's what I'm saying every time I'm listening to one of these.
So I'm gonna kind of sound petty here when I say it, because we devoted like an entire show essentially when we first came back. But when we look at these non-sponsors, you got to tell like what brings you some joy and some happiness. So after having a good amount of exposure to it, I know it sounds cheesy and it sounds basic. I was originally going to pick like one of the food places because, I'm going to be changing some aspects of my life and I won't be able to go eat at Pueblo Viejo, but I'm going to have that tomorrow with Derek. So Pueblo Viejo is pseudo non-sponsor. Andrew's not here to take a second. Fantastic, go get it. They know how to cook chicken, good Mexican joint. I'm going to do a combo of it being Nintendo Switch 2 and the Mario Kart World. I told you, Sometimes I need a brief.
All right.
I've been about like giving it, and I'll make it
And
short.
good. Well, actually, it's a good segue because that's kind of what we were going to talk about for the rest of the show.
Yeah, and so like for me, I know there's some people who, aside from just the typical like clickbaiters who want on Twitter, it's like, okay, why should I kind of get this console? The ability to kind of do the backwards compatibility with the patches has made Pokemon Scarlet just beautiful, fun. Like that's a game I can get lost in. I'm gonna send you Violet, or next time I see you, I'll give you Violet one of the days that I decide what I'm doing with my life. It really made a game that now is super interesting. I don't know how I feel about the open world component of it because I need direction because I got lost into a gym where I'm like, I am not ready to fight these kind of trainers. We cannot battle. You're in your 50s, dog. The hell. But it runs smoothly. I bought that Pro controller too, and it's excellent. I got used to it very well. And then I've just been kind of like devouring Mario Kart Worlds, in a heartbeat. I don't know how much time you popped into it, but now I'm in the 20-hour range.
Oof.
And mind you,
Yeah.
like it's just so easy because the minute you like get every character, get every costume. I think I have one character that's left for no reason I just can't get to. It's whatever the Piranha Goomba combo is, right? So there might be a missing person, you know. And then I'm like, all right, I tried out Knockout a little bit to get. I got the gold cups in both the Grand Prix and Knockout, but then I went online, and I'm like, okay, this is not your mother's Mario Kart because I thoroughly enjoyed Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. I think it's the best of them. I'll still hold to it. And the competition that you have online is I was always kind of you play with me on those. You're always kind of steady at 1 through 5. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of steady to be 1 through 5. And then doing Grand Prix, I'm like, all right, still challenging, but I can kind of maybe place well enough, right, to get through 1 through 5. I've got a couple ones. And then we get Knockout, and then I just feel the rush in my body. I feel that adrenaline where I know I'm structurally good, but I get screwed over by one mega damn block, and I get swamped on, and you're immobile for like 2 seconds, and everybody goes ahead of you.
Yep.
And I can see myself if I just have them kind of long days, and sometimes that happens. Like right now, I'm playing Mega Baseball, but if I want to play Mario Kart World at the next show, I just don't want to set my Switch to it. I mean, I had it in handheld mode, and I'm just too lazy. But yeah, I need them to do 2 things. One, I need more tracks because it's kind of weird because you have 30 tracks. But I think I need them to fix the component where your tracks are what's connected on the road, or you just gotta give me random tracks. So at least give me the option to do that in my game search. You know what I mean? Because there's only so many times I want to do like Toad Factory, Wario, whatever, and then the next thing out.
Right.
They're still great atmospheres, and then I think I gotta tell you though, like the highlight of this, that I think is superior from 8 is that the weapons box, the mystery box, are fantastic because it's good. You get rid of some stuff that's not needed. The Mega Toads, whatever, Mega Mushroom. There we go. Sorry, I'm thinking 5 things at once. The Mega Mushroom's a great addition. The hammer's actually super solid. The ice is okay. Go from there. But you kind of like took away some other stuff. But fix a little bit about like the map selection, or at least give me the option to kind of do free roam map style in my stuff.
Or do it like Mario Kart 8. Yeah.
Yeah, because I have no problem with it keeping connected. I actually prefer that for like Knockout because it makes more sense to me because that's the intention Knockout. But if I'm doing Grand Prix, I have not hit Rainbow Road online. You know what I mean? Rainbow Road is the most beautiful Rainbow Road of all the Mario Kart.
Yeah, it was the best one. The way that it was revealed was fantastic because you get out of that third race from Peach's castle, and then they just ripped the strand of the Mario movie, where they just Rainbow Road just comes down upon you you just go up into the sky and then boom, you're there. So and then they split it into like 4 different parts, so it's a long track, but you're entertained throughout the entire thing,
and the soundtrack is just so stellar.
And it looks like from people who are saying like it looks like it was explorable in the free roam and they just didn't make it. Maybe it'll be a DLC in the future. I don't know. I'm hoping.
So I throw the Switch to Mario Kart Worlds and give it as a combo plus that controller. Promo code next step.
Yeah. So far having a lot of fun with it still. I kind of dropped it for a little bit because I just played so much of it at this point. Won my first knockout tour recently.
How was that feeling? I think the highest I got was like second. I got first.
I won last night actually. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah. So I won for the first time last night. You have all the costumes and everything like that. I've tried the camera feature already. because you can just grab an old webcam and kind of
Yeah.
hook it up, and I mean it's there. It's not really groundbreaking, but it has been fun because my sister and the kids and everybody are sick with COVID, so I haven't gone near the house. But what we have been doing is playing Mario Kart, and with the microphone, that Switch 2 microphone, like it is clear from afar. Like whatever technology they did for noise canceling, all that stuff, it works. It works.
So,
fantastic.
question on that, if I may, because I have the Pro Controller, I could use the head jack. Which, hey man, I got like a USB audio jack somewhere, hanging in there. But like, how are they getting it? Is it from the system itself that
Yeah.
they have the noise canceling?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. The system itself has a microphone this time. So,
Interesting.
So that's what it is, and then you have the camera, but I have an old, like, I don't know, 15-year-old webcam that I'm using, and it works.
Any webcam should work, yeah.
Yeah. Well, there is a list right now, but I think it's some companies have to do a firmware update, and other ones just don't work. So you just kind of have to go through.
I
that
barely
list.
like talking on the phone. I cannot envision myself.
I bought
Yeah.
I bought a webcam, but I was gonna give it to my sister and see how they like it over there, because I'm sure the kids will just like it just to have it. And you just hook it up, and then you just buy like a $40 webcam, and boom, you're there. So you don't have to buy Nintendo stuff this time, which is weirdly generous of Nintendo. Which is, I mean, this whole generation so far with the Switch 2 has been weirdly generous of Nintendo, which is probably why they jacked up the price of Mario Kart. But
like me having my little hard case with like 12 games to hold is good enough for me.
Yeah.
Like, it's just surprising because before they're like, okay, you have to wait for out.
Yeah, you have to wait. I mean, the Switch 2 is readily available for anyone that really wants it right now. There's plenty of accessories that are good for it, and all of that. There's you can still use everything that you've used for the Switch 1.
It's just that's
like, the only downside is you can't turn on the console with your old Switch 1 controllers. But I mean, you just have the other ones.
Let's not be lazy.
Yeah, you just get up and just turn it on right there. That's it. And yeah, so far it's nothing's been missing. Nothing's once again, we've already reviewed the console so far after a month that we've had it. So
the honeymoon season is over. That's what we're talking.
But we're about to hit Donkey Kong next in a couple weeks, right? So
I'm about to be a big old ape.
I'm really excited for it.
Coming down.
The people, it's the Mario Odyssey team that made it, and it just looks fun. It just looks fun to smash things and do all the platforming.
When we saw that direct, that was the game I would not shut up about.
Yeah.
I was like, Mario Kart's one thing, but I was like, no, there's something special here. I see it.
But as far as the rest of the year has gone for us, as far as gaming is concerned, I'm pulling up my list. Charles got his notes app with his list of what we've done so far. It's kind of like a mid-year review, right? A little report card.
We're a fandom show, everybody. Sometimes includes sports, sometimes it's games.
And we're trying to get Andrew in on this, and he did play a little bit. And I'm trying to inch him in there, Charles, with that Halo. So I will install Halo Master Chief Collection on Gloria here, and we will play some Halo 2. Which I genuinely do want to play, because I played Halo 1 and Reach already, so I enjoyed that. And I like my retro games, you know that.
That meme I sent you earlier today was
yeah, I'm a 25-year-old video game, and I'm playing it on a brand new gaming PC. So I've beaten 17 games this year. For the most part, majority of them just I haven't had, aside from we'll go through them here. Let's start. It goes in alphabetical order. It's not going to go order in the way that I beat them. I played Airblade on PS2, on my PC, obviously, with the 4K and the widescreen and all that stuff. It's just a generic. It was around that time when you had all of these extreme sports games, where you had Tony Hawk, obviously, is the pinnacle of that. Waiting for 3 and 4.
That's coming next week.
Yep. So, and I have
I'm like already there, man.
I've got Game Pass. Andrew, you've got Game Pass if you're listening to this, because that should be something that should scratch your itch from, because he's kind of feeling that period of, I guess, the GameCube, PS2, Xbox, it's a 360 era, all that. So
He wants to play catch up.
but that goes along with it. It's a remake of those two games. Why not play that, right? But Airblade, I remember playing it a long time ago at a friend's house because he had it when he got his PS2. It's like one of those cheap games that was bundled with it, and not bad. It's short. It's a really short game. That was way back when they just had like 5 missions and you were done with it. So like 3 or 4 hours, 2 hours actually. That's how long it took me to beat it. But just kind of fun. You know, the mechanics are good. It was made by Konami, I think, or Namco, one of those two. Just kind of a dumb fun. I'm like, fine. Ape Escape 2, played that. Also PS2 game. Solid games. They don't make Ape Escape anymore. And they did
play Astrobot and have that one.
They did reference it in Astrobot. So speaking of that, and I give that a 7 out of 10. Both games are 7 out of 10. Just like they're good. They're good games. There's nothing wrong with them. Nothing fantastic about them, but just like solid good time. Astro's Playroom, played that as well. I gave it an 8 out of 10 just because of the longevity. Obviously, Astrobot is the entree, the main course. And I just haven't had PS5 time lately, Charles.
It's okay. But she'll be there when she needs you.
Yeah. That and RoboCop are waiting for me back there.
RoboCop is so much fun. Sorry.
I did play it. No, I played the first mission of it. And yeah, just like, making guys' heads explode. I mean, it does not mince words on the gore. Neither did the movie. So it's just kind of along the same line as the movie, which
they have Rogue. They have the standalone story that's coming out this month too.
For RoboCop,
the continuation. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Because Astrobot just keeps getting updates.
Well, we will be there, but it's RoboCop. New game is how I'm just gonna talk it because I don't know how to. I don't remember the name, but I don't know if it's like a tower thing or unfinished business. Rogue City Unfinished Business, standalone adventure.
Oh, okay.
Common Tower is their fortress, finest language. So I think it's just a tower game.
I see.
You put it reasonably. I'm in it.
Let's see. I played Bug, which is a Sega Saturn game that one of my friends used to have a long time ago as well, and I saw him play it a long time ago. It had Sonic in it for like one brief cameo. I'm just like, oh, okay. And then I'm like, oh, I want to play this game. It's a 6 out of 10 game. It's just a very, very early platformer
concept
from way back when. And it is, it's very rough. It's a very rough concept, but not a bad time. Just kind of like you have to be someone like me who consumes games like that. And just like, I know what era I'm in. I lived this before, so I'm okay with this. So that's how that game is. But it's 6 out of 10. Like, I'm not recommending it to anybody who cannot withstand the jank of retro games from that era. Cats Hidden in Paris, which is a dumb game that I played with my niece on her computer. It's just a bunch of cats, and it's just like black and white image of it's like a puzzle thing, like Where's Waldo, except you're looking for a bunch of cats in Paris. So that's what I did for that. Doom the Dark Ages, very good, very fun. I really did like the melee mechanics in this one with the shield and the mace and all kinds of just kind of blunt weapons that you can use to just batter and smash all these demons.
So what was so different between that and all the other ones? Because I remember people were trying to say that Dark Ages was not effective, not fun. Maybe
I think it was. Yeah, it had the shooting aspect of it. If you really just like the shooting and stuff, then there was less of it because they really did put an emphasis on using your shield and using your melee weapon and kind of mixing and matching your weapons that way. So I think maybe some people just didn't like that mechanic of it, but I loved it because in every FPS game that I've ever played that has like a melee mechanic, I just like smashing people in the face with the butt of the gun or punching them or something like that. And Doom kind of gave that to you with Doom 1 and Eternal, but now with or Doom 2016 and Eternal, but with this, it's just like it's like they mixed the Doom guy with like a knight in shining armor, and they just mixed all that stuff together. I'm like, oh, this is great. Just bludgeon
Sir
things.
Gorlot just blowing up demons.
Yeah, you just bludgeon things. It had big giant mechs, so you were kind of like in a Megazord at the same time.
Everybody loves mechs.
Yeah, I don't know what anybody complained about with. There was nothing mechanically wrong with it. It's along the same lines as the other games. It's a Doom game. I don't know what more you're expecting, because it's not going to get Game of the Year. It never was that. And
too many unrealistic expectations of what a game should be when we see a trailer.
It's a Doom game. You're there to destroy demons and just fight them, and the Doom guy does not care about what the heck is going on. He's just mad because they killed his pet rabbit, and you just go along with that, and that's what you have to channel. You have to channel the pain of losing a pet. So, and that's what it's all about. I gave it a 9 out of 10 because, like I said, nothing mechanically wrong with it. If you're in it for the lore, I think you're getting way too into Doom, because the developers, have even said,
too much about stories in games if they're regionally timed. Like, if you give me a 12-hour game, I'm not gonna crap on a game that is average.
Like,
right? That
if you like
a higher score.
If you wanted some lore, you got it with this game, but because it's a prequel. But at the same time, it's like, what does it really matter?
Are we a children of the times? Because, guys, I want you guys to realize something. We didn't have Sonic telling us that Robotnik's bad. We just kind of knew, right?
People shouldn't.
We were very gameplay based. When you didn't have a text RPG game, you just kind of put 1 + 1 = 2 logically, right? Ninja Turtles, Shredder bad. Mario, Bowser, Steel, Peach. There wasn't this depth to it. So I think, it's tough because you can't make great games because it's got to be high budget. It has to have top-notch voice acting. It has to have great animations, great gameplay. And then I think the easiest thing to take away, that if I had to pick one or another, is not a bad story, but like a little bit of a bare bones story. And I can live with that because I would have the great gameplay, high frame rate, good graphics, and I can take a bare bones story. If you give me like text or something like that, not everything has to be like cutscenes too. Like we grew up in the age once we got into 3D models because they couldn't do a lot of the voice acting and stuff like that. Because some of the voice acting in the early 2000s was just atrocious. You get the text logs, right?
Yeah,
that's it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but like I said, Doom is a good game. Jurassic World Evolution, even though I kind of rolled in from 2024 into 2025 with that game, but you like dinosaurs and building parks, fantastic, play that. But I have World 2, World 3 just came out with that, but I gotta go through 2, and then I'll go through 3 eventually when I get that for free via Epic Games or something like that. Just Cause 2, fun. Just, once again, turn off your brain, dumb fun, just blow things up. I could care less about the story until it got towards the end after I'd played about 40 hours in. I'm just like, I probably should just beat this game, because I liked the mechanics of the gameplay loop of go into a certain area, collect the items, blow the things up, and then you clear that area. Okay, you just kept doing that from place to place until the end. It's not deep, but just doing that and using the weapons and blowing things up and being Rico Rodriguez and just kind of toppling a third world regime is just fun, but you just don't have to play the story until the end. You're just like, okay, the story is probably like 6 hours long anyways, but if you want to really have a lot of fun with this, you go and just do everything and do all the dumb stuff, which is great. So Just Cause 2, I gave that an 8 out of 10. I played a little bit of it back in the day, and I'm just like, now that I got it at this time, which I think you were the one, because it was the Humble Bundle, and it came with a bunch of, it came with that and Just Cause 3. So I got that.
I hope you guys are never drug addicts. So I'm like, it's just a little heroin. It's okay. Just put it in your tools.
Yeah. It's like
$2.
I'm a bad
influence. Yeah, I'm a bad influence when it comes to games.
Yeah, but I mean, I got 47 hours.
By the way, get Marvel Midnight Suns on the free Prime stuff.
I got it already. I got it. But I think I already had it from like last year.
Right. I don't know. There's too much free stuff that comes in.
But anyway, Midnight Suns. I know you loved it. You love Peter and all those guys. It was kind of like a dating sim for you in a weird way.
It was all intents and purposes.
It was a Marvel dating sim for Charles.
And I absolutely loved it.
Yeah, it's like, Logan, come over here. And you're like, okay.
I just had to love everybody. Okay. Yeah. I need no judgment from you, sir.
I mean, it legitimately was. When we released the
really
chats,
was.
when we released the group chat, whenever The Last of Us to Die, we're gonna it got really it's June, so it's no longer Pride Month, but still.
I was taking photos and sending heart shapes every time I saw Peter because I knew he was in it. They took their damn time to get there. Great, fantastic. 8.5 out of 10.
Katamari Damacy played that as well.
I love how Andrew was like Katamari, and Andrew, we love you. That's how I'm gonna say it. But you can tell games that would totally be his type kind of thing. And this man today said he had a favorite number, which is 9. I'm like, okay, guy. I'm like that's just news to me.
Yeah.
But then he's like Katamari. He's like, is that Katamari the roller game? I'm like, yeah. It's all starting to make sense now. This man's gonna be like, I like Leisure Suit Larry. I'm like, okay.
But Katamari Damacy is great. The King of All Cause was a horrible dad, and the way he berates you for failing the missions is fantastic, but also kind of relatable. And so there's just something fun about rolling stuff up, just weird Japanese stuff too. So if you really, I think anybody can enjoy it. But if you have watched a lot of things with regards to Japanese culture, that's where it lies. That's where
we played Yakuza. That tells you what you need to know. If I could get that boy on Yakuza, could you imagine? God,
we got to get back into that world again. Seriously,
there's just so many games, and then I'm looking man who raced his name. I'm like, oh, you're cheap.
Yeah,
I could play you, mind you. I have 2 games that are about 80 hours a pop.
Yeah,
to pop in that because I'm pimping out 2, as you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then you got Pirate Yakuza with Pirate Like a Dragon. Let's see. Oh boy, I got Mario and Luigi Brothership.
Go ahead, talk your hate.
Oh my god.
Talk your hate, King.
So this game, I got this game back in November. It started off like, oh right, a Mario Luigi game. Oh my goodness, they animate them so well. The cell shading is fantastic. I like the art style. That Mario Brothers are very lively. It's obvious that they've taken a lot of cues from making them way more expressive than they've ever been. Obviously, the Mario movie has had a lot of influence on Nintendo. Which is great. You're going to see it in Bonanza coming up as well. But then I hit, after probably the first boss, and then I just hit a wall with this game. Because I just realized that the story, I didn't care about it for the most part. Which is, in a Mario RPG, is a problem because the gameplay loop is obviously an RPG, so you run into enemies, you beat them, you get experience points, you keep doing that, then you upgrade your skills, and then all that stuff until eventually you can beat the bosses and get through it. And I was just I was picking at this game little by little. I would drop it for weeks on end. I would be like, oh, I'm going to take it on a plane, on a flight to Seattle, and then I barely played it. And then I'm going to take it to Denver and play it over there, and then I barely played it. And then I don't know, something came over me because I realized the Switch 2 was coming, and I thought I'd beat it by then. I didn't, because I wanted to retire the Switch 1. I'm like, okay. But in a way that did help, because it got one of the upgrades. I get one of the enhanced upgrades. It became 4K, which is great for the art style that it is. I got the 4K HDR with the 60 FPS, which just, if you look at reviews before that came out for the Switch 2, people talked about the performance issues, and I did see some of that too.
That's why it was my non-sponsor, man.
Yep.
Because I saw with the Pokemon, I was like, we're good.
Yep.
Turned a game that was probably a 5 into a solid 8 right now.
And honestly, if it didn't have that on the Switch 2, I think I'd still be trying to beat it right now, because it took a lot out of me eventually.
Frame rate matters so much because you kids were not there for the PS2, PS3, 360 generation of the stuttering. It's just awful.
So eventually, the story finally got to a point where there were actual stakes in the story, and I wanted to get through it, but then it just kept throwing something else at you, which elongated the story. And I'm like, this game could have been so much better if they cut out so much of the backtracking and just the entire middle portion. Like, you could have cut out 10 to 15 hours of this game and it would have been solid, because I was looking at, man, because I played Paper Mario. That was also on the Switch. Origami King. And that game was like 34 hours long, 30, yeah, around there, 30 to 35. And it's like, okay, nice and, for an RPG, that's nice and compact. And this one, I got into 47 hours. And I think you can look at the group chats and you're like, hey, Charles, I'm at hour 35, but I think I'm getting towards the end. And like, here I am at hour 40, hour 41, hour 42. And then it just kept
As
going.
I'm like, how long to beat and just seeing your hell.
Yep.
Like, this boy, get out.
And then I just leaned into it after that point. I'm just like, well, I'm going to get my money's worth from this game. And I'm just going to get as much out of it as possible. So I did pretty much like 90% of the things in the game. I didn't 100% it. I got all of the, I got their max at the skill level. I got actually finished nearly all of the side missions. And then beat the game at the end. So there's really nothing more for me to come back to. So I got the most out of it, which was the point of this year for me. It wasn't the quantity over quality this time. Even though I did play a lot of quality games when I was doing the 100 games per year thing. This year I'm on pace for what my goal was, which was 25. I'm at 17, but Mario and Luigi took a lot out of me. But I finally got out of it. Now I'm free to finally play the rest of my Switch catalog, which includes eventually Bonanza, which I'm probably gonna just devour. Like, I feel like that's what's going to happen. I'm going to devour that game like it did Mario Odyssey.
I mean,
and then
how long are you going to give me? That's the thing. I want to know. Odyssey was like a good 22-hour game if you really just sat and smell the roses.
Yeah. But yeah, I think Donkey Kong, yeah, that's probably probably around the same time we got as Mario Odyssey, so 2025 around there if you really look for all the stuff. And Mario Odyssey, I nearly 100% it too. So I feel like Donkey Kong is going to be the same way. But yeah, that was Mario and Luigi. Mario Kart World. After 20 hours, I finally got through Rainbow Road and all that stuff, because I really did a ton of the free roam compared to you.
Yeah.
So I
was like, not giving competition. I'm a competitive man.
Yeah.
Francisco's really chill.
Yeah, I hit the free roam because you knew I love Forza Horizon already. And I was
do like the free roam, though.
Yeah. It's fun, but I knew I was going to devour that part, and I did. I got all the panels now, and every now and then I pick at it because there's still all the P switches and some of the medallion coins.
Medallions.
And
so the free roam is good for me to try to learn how to do wall riding and jumping over stuff, because that's such a foreign thing. And trying to find, I'm not dedicated to finding shortcuts because there's only a small sector of people who see it. But yeah, the wall riding still got to work with.
Yeah, still haven't really much. I don't think the mechanic was used as well as it should have been, because I really haven't found much use of it for an actual competitive race. And I won a knockout tour without using any of that stuff. So, but once again, it gets back to basics with Mario Kart and everything like that. So good. Once again, 9 out of 10. I can't really. There's no fault in it. So if you're comparing it to 8, like, yeah, there's some things about 8 that I really like. Some things about World that I really like too. And if you mix both of them, you might have the perfect Mario Kart right there.
They did what I
8
asked
already
them.
seemed like the perfect Mario Kart, so which is surprising. Yeah, they did. Sonic Colors Ultimate. Charles will, as I kept saying, I just don't have time with the PS5. Well, when I did have time with the PS5 at my sister's house, I was picking at a 15-year-old Sonic game, which I already 100%ed a while ago.
My meme is totally you.
Yeah. So I played Sonic Colors, and I picked at it over the course of time. It's only a 4-hour game if you just blast through the story, which I did. I didn't really go for the red rings or anything like that. And I really did like Sonic Colors when I got it initially for the Wii. And I'm like, I'm going to go through this again. And I like the music, and it was just like, I'm back to this again, so I'm just going to pick at it. It was free on PS Plus, so why not? So I played through that game again, which I guess is the only game so far that I returned back to, because I don't replay games as much as you do, actually, Charles, because you'll do a replay of a game.
Yeah, I mean this is true. I've also, though, however, took it to a Mario every December. That's kind of replaced it. Mm-hmm. But I did replay Uncharted, right? Lost 4. I do have Lost Legacy that I keep up to honorance of it.
You did Metroid Prime, the remaster.
I did. Well, so that's a good question, though. If it's been like 20-something years, my dog, when I was just stuck on like, a red, white, and yellow combo going into a remaster. But yeah, I'll take it. Yeah, because that's essentially what half my remakes are. Yeah, you know what? Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I consider
I kept the tradition
outside of like the Resident Evil remake or something like that, where it's like they just redid the entire game.
Yeah.
From and it's just completely different.
We'll count remasters.
I'm assuming Metal Gear Solid 3 is going to be that. Delta is going to be that way as well. So I'm not going to count that as a replay of that game, anyways.
To quote Letterkenny, we don't fucks with traditions.
Yes. Yeah.
6.
Yeah. So Sonic Colors Ultimate. I gave that an 8 out of 10 because it's still a solid game. People complain about it because of the quality of the remake and all that stuff. I'm like, look, it's still the same game for the most part. Okay, so if you're looking for people are looking for a complete remaster of a Wii game, Sega didn't give you that, or a complete remake. Sega just gave you hey, just punch it up to HD and just be done with it. I'm like, okay, fine.
Well, the frame rate would be more solid too on the PS5. Just don't buy that on the Switch.
Yeah, and they haven't done any Switch 2 upgrades for any of the Sonic games so far, because I tested out Sonic Forces and it doesn't have it. Sonic Unleashed. So that's not a replay. I played that on my PC because someone ported the 360 version to PC with 4K and 120 FPS. And man,
you couldn't help yourself.
Oh, I could not help myself. And it's a fantastic port, by the way. Sonic Unleashed is actually a solid game. The Werehog is the only downside of it. It's not terrible, but it's just
unnecessary.
But it is the hardest of the 3D Sonic games. I will say that, because you really do need some skill. And now that they have a version that actually runs well, because it couldn't handle the 360 or the PS3.
Case in point, earlier comment I made about frame rates back in the day.
It matters a lot. People are breaking records and realizing that, and people are reassessing the game just on the fact that it got this HD or 4K upgrade with 120 FPS, and are like, oh, I can react to things now. I can see things now. I can finally play a game that doesn't stutter and stop or slow down or crash. So Sonic Unleashed is great, and if you can find it, I'd say give it a shot. I gave it a 7 out of 10, but it'd probably be a 7.5. Just the only thing that I docked it points for was for the Werehog, which is what everybody does for it. So, but the Sonic portions, fantastic, and it's the hardest of all of them, but it probably had the best quality levels compared to Colors, and maybe Generations is a little bit better in that sense, just because it's not as grueling. But if you want a challenge, it's Sonic Unleashed. Sonic the Hedgehog Pocket Adventure, which I played.
How many Sonics did you play? This is all new to me, everybody.
These are three. Sonic Pocket Adventure. I played that on my phone. It's a Neo Geo Pocket color game. I never got the chance to play it because I never owned that system. Neither did anybody else. And it's just downgraded versions of some Sega Genesis levels that they put into 8-bit, which would have been really cool back in the day when we were like 10, 11, 12 years old and could have had that in our pocket. But now I'm playing it years later. Solid game. Nothing wrong with it. I gave it a 7 out of 10. Just like, hey, this is a good time for a Sonic fan for sure. Mario Strikers, I also played. It's actually fun. I hate soccer, but I can see why people really like this game. And I gave that a 7 out of 10. And then Tetris on the Game Boy. I played through all of that. I, got to the credits screen for all of that too. So that's
Wait,
fun.
it's possible to beat Tetris?
Yeah, you can get to the credit screen in Tetris. Yeah, after reach 20 levels when it gets super fast and you get to a credit screen.
Wow.
Yeah. And then Witch Punk, which looked better in the trailers, but it's not a great game. It's a 6 out of 10. I thought it was like a Tony Hawk style game with but you're like a little witch, and it's not. In fact, I probably would give it a 5 out of 10. Now that I'm thinking about it again, we're really disappointed by that one. And those are the games that I played, Charles. So that's my list.
All right, so I am making, even though I was in classes, I was still making good progression on some of the games, partially because I had long gaps, and then the summertime did help out because I took one accelerated summer class. So in the order of how I beat them, I'll give you rankings, and then I won't give you my top. I could give you my top 5, sure, but it's not fair because I have 2 games that could possibly be in my top 5 once I beat them. So my first game I started out, started in late December, but bled over to 2025. Paper Mario 1000 Year Door. I got the good Mario RPG. That was fantastic. 8.5.
You got the best one.
Yeah, I got the best one. Did it drag in the tooth a little bit? Slightly, just a little bit. But the backtracking was fine. I put 39 hours in there.
Yeah, it's of its era. Once again.
Yeah. But that's the thing. These are the remasters I want. I don't want Last of Us, and I like the Last of Us series. I don't need it for every console generation. I didn't get to play 1000 Year Door when it came out on GameCube, right? So, boom, I got this. And I thoroughly loved it. It was beautiful. I took little pics of it. I love the ending. I love how it all came together. I like Luigi just telling me these stories about what happened off in the other kingdom. And I'm kind of like, I want that game.
Yeah.
Just saying. You missed an opportunity, Nintendo. You really did.
They could have. They could legitimately make because everybody thinks he's making it up, but they could make an actual game where it's like, oh no, this actually happened.
All I'm saying, it could have worked well. And the combat was smart, not overly sophisticated, simple. Does it get easy? Yeah. But the final, I would say, leg of the game does get hard, so you have to get the right stuff in there. Mm-hmm. But I just liked it. Charming. Characters are charming. And my problem with every RPG, if you have a good party game or good members of your party in an RPG game, turn-based and whatnot, just do me a solid. Don't cap how many I can have in a party. Let me just have them all. Now I'm just getting my memories coming into who I had with them. Like, come on, just let me have them all. They're fun, they're cute. So that was 8.5. Space Marines 2, for the glory of the Emperor. I heard it was a great game. I never played any of the Warhammer
games,
stuff, but I've heard they were good.
I've got a few of them, and people do say you don't have to like Warhammer, where you get the little figures and paint them and all that stuff. You don't have to do that to enjoy the actual series.
It's like Gears of War.
And of course, Henry Cavill is massive. He's the one that actually does buy the figures and paints them and does all of that with his giant muscles and handsome face.
Yeah, and we love Henry Cavill. You might not be Superman anymore, but you're super in my heart.
Yeah.
Call it angina, right? But Space Marine 2 was a fun game, and they do enough with the story to kind of make it's easy to kind of go if you didn't play the first Space Marines, but they have enough to connect there and bring in new people. Liked it, loved it. That was an 8. That was fine. Played Astro Playroom. I too gave it an 8 because of the length. Astrobot 9.5. 18 hours in, I platinumed it, guys.
Yeah,
I platinumed it. They give me VIP new levels each time. I gotta know I'm coming to it. It was a love letter to Sony games, but love letter to platform fans.
It's like the first Sony game that actually pulled that off.
Right.
Because they've tried. They've tried like, hey, remember us? Remember this guy? And it's like PlayStation Battle All-Stars. And nobody bought that. And then like, hey, here's the PS1 Mini. And then nobody bought that. But then they come out with this. And it's like, oh.
You get 30 minutes to play, you have enjoyable 30 minutes. You got an hour and a half to sit down and really marinate. And for us as adults and we're lawyers, you're really getting an hour and a half sometimes, right? Coming into it. You'll enjoy that hour and a half. It was just beautiful. It was a spectacle. I loved it. I'm going to cry. It was just so fantastic. It tugs some good heartstrings in there because I'm seeing the nostalgia.
It won Game of the Year, right? It won the Game of the Year, right?
Yeah, one Game of the Year last year. It's presumably look. There's some heavy competition that's coming from that just started in June on, because we're gonna get to Death Stranding and we're gonna get to Bonanza by this year's end. We will.
Yeah.
and some other stuff. And here I am. I'm like, okay, man. Like, I don't like to crown a king too early. I'm not a kingmaker here. I'm a ranker. I'm a tier kind of guy. But yeah, like I had that feeling of like Tears of the Kingdom. Like nothing's gonna touch this. Like you just know when you finish it and you're like roll credits. You're like, yeah, I platinumed it, dude. Only a few games kind of get that,
Mm-hmm.
and they've all been deserving of my time. And the special worlds are great. Like the special final worlds, per each division.
Yep.
The little stuff are great too.
I've had to play them for my nephew because he's like, these are 2 hour. I'm like, all right, let me see. And it's just like, man, they are legitimately challenging to the point where you want to try and try again until you get it right, and then you do, and it's like, oh, this is satisfying.
Well, the challenging maps, a little one-offs that they did, so good because you guys got to remember the era we grew up on. For anybody who's listening, anybody born in like 2005,
Yeah,
you got your
yeah, exactly. Anybody who was able to legitimately remember and enjoy anything before the PS3, 360, and Wii.
Yeah, and like the thing is that is how crushingly hard platformers were. Those special worlds, not like the one that's deemed to the PS eras, which those are fantastic. Love those. But those are like mini special worlds where you try to get the square, triangle, circle, X stuff.
Yep. Those.
Man.
Yep. I know.
One mistake, you get busted but you get the adrenaline going. I can't speak highly enough about it. I fucking loved it. 7. Sleeping Dog, 7.5. I'm glad I played it. I heard a lot of great things about it. Took 15 hours. I did not play any DLC because when I looked at what the DLC was, like I could just see it. Maybe I revisit it, but I got that for like $2, and I was like, I'm gonna play it. I need like an old beat 'em up action game that was from that era. It was the remastered definitive edition. On my PS4, it gave me the opportunity to try out the whole PS4 Pro like upgrade that they have for like the PS4 games. We're supposed to like render some stuff a little bit better. Do I notice the difference? I don't know. You need to patch stuff half the time, but still, I love my Persephone. She's a beautiful girl. I love Ramona, and I love Jolene. My babies here, my babies. But I like Sleeping Dogs. Mario versus DK. We did it as a co-op.
Yeah, how is that? How is that? Because I've when you were thinking of buying it and you eventually bought it, because I played the original 100% on the Game Boy Advance a long time ago, and my sister has it. I haven't touched it in a co-op
Do you like
sense.
Shouting? Do you like shouting? Because like it's always a different kind of hand, right? Yeah. But it's a good game. I give it like a 7 out of 10. It took about 15 hours, but like how it really is different on the co-op is just it adds another layer of a key. You gotta get this key and that key as opposed to singular key. But it was a good game. It's super easy. Maybe only like myself individually, if I ran through it, it probably only take me
puzzle platformer. So it's just about getting through levels and just figuring out the exact order.
But I got it for what, $5, if that. I think I got it free because you know me, I don't pay for any of this stuff really at all. Actually, I did pay $20 for Armored Core the other day. Side note on that story: Best Buy shipped me out something. It was scratched to hell. I didn't know it was scratched to hell because I got that from last Black Friday, and I was going to install and play as an in between, and it was scratched to hell and then log in, and obviously they didn't return it. I don't blame them. And then I tried to buy it from Best Buy again at a little bit of a higher price, and then it got canceled. But Prime Day had it for 20. I'm like, you know what? I have to actually do it. I just put it on a credit card. I've been buying a lot of stuff on Amazon on the credit card, so that is probably the most I put onto a game lately. But I had to do it, man, because I had to take it off the backlog list. I'm like, no, I'm not going to walk out like that.
Yeah.
RoboCop Rogue City, 7.5, 20 hours. I loved it. I think the RoboCop 1 is a great movie. I think all the rest of them are bad, really bad. But it is good gore, a decent story. Kind of bridges the gap from 2 and 3, I think. I think it's redoing a 3. And I liked everything they were going from there. And it's just fun. He's a tank, and maybe you kind of wish he didn't have a tank. You have other stuff, but like I can just hurl dudes, or I can upgrade him a little bit to make my Murphy or RoboCop, depending on what you want to call him, do one thing or another. But I enjoyed it. It was fun. It was soundtrack. It gave me that Deus Ex vibe, except you're more of a badass 8 than Adam was, in my opinion. Even though I like the Deus Ex series, even Revolution Mankind Divided. Shame, right, that they didn't continue that, but whatever. It was good. And then my next run of games, because some of these were digital that I had bought that I go from there. My next run of games, like, oh crap, the Switch 2 is coming in, and I need to like marathon this really quickly to kind of get over there to get the trade in. So we did Silent Hill 2 remake. I had never played the Silent Hill series. I know everything about it though, because it's like one of those things where your buddies tell you about it. And it was weird playing a spooky game, a non-spooky season, but I knew it was going to yield me a very high trade-in because I got it like Black Friday for dirt cheap, like $30. And you know me, I got gift cards and stuff. And it was the trade-in was like 20, and I'm like, oh yeah, oh yeah, like we take pennies on the dollar on GameStop. That's why I'm probably not allowed there. I gave it an 8 out of 10, 15.5 hours. It is scary. It is legitimately scary. I didn't need a replay like my buddy did to get all the endings. I felt when you had the remake, it was a little bit long on the tooth in 2 sections, being the last section and then part of the hospital, but it knew how to keep the vibe going. And it is kind of like a connected cathartic experience. I think they missed an opportunity if you're doing a remake to add in more new enemies near the back end, especially when you're at the last set, as James's mental health is deteriorating. Take advantage of it, right? Make the monsters look different or something. They can move the same but give something else to it. But it was good. Was it better Resident Evil 4 remake? Probably. And I like the Resident Evil 4 remake, but we're talking about like in terms of spooky games, if you like spooky games, fine. But really, James kind of like hits you with a club or a 2x4 or the pipe until you get like weaponry and whatever. Was it too easy? Yeah, because I put that son of a gun on easy. I'm not here to make horror games hard, dude. Yep. No. Yep. No, thank you. I'm gonna run that through. Alan Wake was not hard because it's like pseudo spooky, but it's just an interesting story. This was pure like horror game.
Yeah.
And it ain't the Resident Evil, because Resident Evil was scary for like the first 3 hours, and then it's like, all right, we're gonna make it into like this kind of sci-fi action. That's really been their trend. Look, I played all the remakes, this, and some of the other games, but 8 out of 10, not bad, enjoyable. So I needed something light, and you mentioned Sonic Generations, and I play Sonic Shadow Generations.
Yes.
And I gave it 7 out of 10, 11 hours. This is why. I did not like Sonic Generations because I'm like, how are you going? And it's actually a good game. Sonic Generations is a good game. But I'm like, how are you going to give me this new fluid engine that is Shadow Generations, which I thoroughly enjoyed, and not give that same code?
And you played Sonic Frontiers too, so.
Oh yeah, exactly. Thank you. So you already did the coding and the source of it to do Sonic or Shadow Generations. You're running two. It was the first time I ever played a game that ran 2 different kind of engines at the same time.
Yeah, it's Sega. It was a weird one where Sega just like they basically copy and pasted the first game, and then they tacked on the Shadow part using what they have now. So you were legitimately playing a 15-year-old game with a brand new video game.
So like in earnest, this is how I would do it. Sonic Generations, you're lucky if you get a 6.5, 6. If I played it back then, yeah, it would be higher, right? A 7. Shadow Generations, a lot of stuff that I liked, I popped at 8, so I split the baby and I said 7 out of 10. Go buy it, go try it. The problem is, like, it is only like 5 hours, so I understand your statement, like, I'm not paying anything over 10 over it, but like,
I'll get it on. I will get it on sale because eventually Sega's gonna put it on sale. They put all their games on sale pretty quickly, so I think by the 1 year anniversary of it, it'll probably be somewhere around $20. So I'm like, I could pay $20 for 5 hours of Shadow. Yeah, and I think that's fair. And it did yield me like a $15 trade-in. So I was like, all right. So we were able to conclude that. I mean, it's on the Switch too, but I don't know if I want to. It's not even an actual cartridge, so that's why I wouldn't get it on there.
Well, I mean, look, you just avoid tax, right? Like that's the mindset. If you're trying to cheap it out, your boy is king at being cheap here. Mm-hmm. But you can get on the Switch too. But my problem is that I rather wait on ports because I rather them. I still don't want to until you give me a port of a game that's at least going to make it a 2. I don't need 4K on the Switch. I'm just saying that right now. I'll take it. Mm-hmm. I'll take it. But if you give me 1440p, because the problem is ports sometimes cripple it to go from 4K and then doesn't jump to 2K. It might jump to like a 1080p or slightly above it, right? In a weird. I don't want anything in 1100s, my guy. Find a way to make it 1440, and for those who understand, 4K is actually 2160.
Yep.
2K is 1440, which is the standard for a lot of gaming on the computer. To be honest with you, for a lot of people and how they come into it, and it's perfectly fine. It is super acceptable. I have an OLED. That's great, fantastic. But I get games on VRR. I don't have that yet. But if you're doing ports, I want to see a 2K 1440p guarantee, and nobody was giving me that. And I'm looking at Split Fiction, but I'm like, if you're going to give me fucking 1080p 9 that isn't on the handheld but docked, I'm going to say no thank you respectfully. Mm-hmm. Plain and simple. But that's my opinion on it. Something that was worth the 1080p as a swan song on Switch was the Metroid Prime Remaster. And it's so weird, man, that my top 3, 2 of them might be remastered games, and it tells you something when remasters work, because I loved it. I cannot give it a 10 because you gotta give me an arrow or something. And that's the way Metroidvania games are, but it is very esoteric in explaining what you need with those Chozo artifacts. I'm like, how did I do this at 15? And then I realized I probably bought I probably used Cheat Code Central. That's a callback for anybody.
Oh yeah.
Before there was really IGN, GameSpot, or anything else.
Oh my
and you
God.
don't want to pay for a magazine, but you know what I'm talking about.
I know exactly. Yeah.
Everybody's hairline just receded, and we got more back hair saying that.
Yeah.
Because the way you had to kind of backtrack in no particular order to kind of, because you're not backtracking, but you kind of like, I have no problem backtracking with the weaponry once you get it. I think that's an incentivization, right? But when when you literally don't know, well, one thing's being harbored because there's no communication really to know that, hey, it's in the sun tower, right? And you just got to climb all the way up top and stuff like that. It stalled unnecessarily, but it played well on the Switch, exceptionally well on the Pro Controller. The dual stick, man, because for people who don't remember, you had originally, however, the game, and some people love the GameCube controller. I could care less on, but I probably played the wrong games on the GameCube to hate the controller, right? And then when you had the Wii controller, it was more motion control based. Dual stick, perfect for Metroid Prime. Beautiful, so good, so engaging, so interesting. We are going to be there for 4. I'll be there. You know what? Screw it. I'll be there for Echoes and for Corruption, even though I own Corruption on my Wii, but that requires me to go find my stuff and put up the Wii and stuff. That will bleed my eyes out. 13 hours, but the in game data was 13 hours. Probably tack on another 2 hours just looking at artifacts and stuff. Going from there, and I still never got the good ending. I'm like, how? I just can't everything. What do I miss? But
it's Metroid. So. You have to get all the items, and you have to beat it as fast as you can. So that's the point.
Yeah. And
but
so that's
the good ending is you get Samus with her helmet off, and then you see the post credits ending, which just ties into Metroid Prime 2. So
yeah. Well, we say that now, but when you're 14, 15. And you have to go on Cheat Code Central. We didn't have YouTube, kids. I would never know what the endings were. I remember having, the side note, I remember about the Kingdom Hearts secret ending.
Every now and then, I'm like, did I ever get the 100% ending? And then I look it up. Every now and then, too.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I just like it, but fantastic game. I'm not going to give you my top 5ers yet because I need to beat some games together. Mario Kart World 8, I already talked about. I played Liza P. It's not my first endeavor into a Soulsborne game.
Yes, you were playing that while I was trying to finish off Mario and Luigi, and you were questioning who was having the rougher time there. Yeah,
so here's the thing. I hate being on the show, because if I never was on the show and I've never met you and some of my other friends, I would have catered to the same sensibilities I always kept to, right, in my gaming. It would have been, give me a platformer, give me an action game, give me a sports game. Never did we do the RPG turn-based. Never really want to do the JRPGs. And you're like, oh, well, not that bad. You should try some stuff. And then my other friend's like, yeah, you should give it a chance. Because the thing is, you have to grow as a human being. And I was in my 30s when we started the show, right, roughly around it, right? In my 20s, you want the fast pace. In the 10, 15s, I'm like, you get bored. I always thought the Final Fantasy games were boring. I'll be honest with you. Straight up. I have Final Fantasy, whatever.
Never played a single one of them. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like even and it's so weird to say that Chrono Trigger can't do it. The Chronicles of Mana or whatever it's called. I like them. I remember playing them. Those were like my first foray. But I could never complete them because I was like eight.
Yeah, I think. Doug played the Dragon Quest 11, the latest one. He liked that, but.
Well, I could do it now because I found kind of the right rhythm. I do think actually Mario Rabbids were there. But I'm that guy who's like, people like Persona 5 is great. I'm like, Persona 5, man. What do you mean it's 105 hours? 70, maybe you get me, right? I played the Tales series. I got into it. I'm like, okay, it's fine. The problem is it was just way too long. And let me just help who I want in my party.
Yep.
Yeah, they're going to go from there. But, we come into it. So Eliza P. And here's the thing. How I feel about turn-based JRPGs is the payoff is that, okay, you might have a great experience. At no point when I do play them, because I've done it throughout the years, do I ever go it's the greatest story I ever heard or told? And then people are like, oh, but Cloud, And that's just the example of the old school, not the current ones. Or Final Fantasy X with like the guy who kicks the ball and what's her name, they all die. I'm like, no, I can't do it. But my dislike of Soulsborne comes down to it's just so Souls-like games, right? There's two things I don't like about it that I think you just fix it out. They're arbitrary because really, like, are their bosses tough or are they just bullet sponges and then they're just overpowered? That's one. It's not the get good thing. It's like you really just have to dodge. The second complaint I have with it, actually, it's my prime complaint, is that if you're supposed to be a developmental RPG, essentially, right? Everything's an RPG these days, right?
Yeah.
But the idea is that you're collecting souls, that's your XP, right? Experience points. It's the same thing, guys. But their thing is that if you die, you lose it, but you go back and reclaim it, and then you die again, you lose what you have. Well, really, you're just stalling progress for me to finish the game quicker, because that's why Elden Ring's like 100 hours, right? That's the example I'm giving. So that's kind of annoying. Liza P has it, but I like Liza P, and I'm going to tell you why I like Liza P. But this is my attack on because I tried Dark Souls. Couldn't do it. I got Blood Rain out there. Don't want to do it. You know what I mean? And my third complaint, and it's really simple. And I get it, and it makes a lot of sense. But they have a stamina bar, right? Your stamina bar is for dodging, running, sprinting. You don't jump for whatever reason. I think you can to a degree. But then the thing is, the swings that you take also deplete your stamina bar. And I have the simplest solution for you. You add a third bar, and you call it endurance or strength bar. So your stamina bar could really be leading on the dodging, and then your strength could be talking about the impact and the amount of impact, just like how a JRPG gives you on the points. When you go, you're like 100% hit, 60% hit. It's the same thing. And you know what that's going to make, Francisco? It's going to make the combat interesting because your guy's not going to be like depleting huffing air like me when I was playing basketball against a 17-year-old a couple of weeks with Miami Heat was like knocking on my door and I'm huffing for air. I'm like, all right, you want me to play? Because Bowers is a bust already? I got you. Because what happens is it felt like when you use the dodge and the strike mechanics as a basis of stamina, I always felt that stuff made my gameplay slow. And I didn't love it. So Liza P, though, did two things that I thought made it work. One, they said, hey, this new update, we're going to make it, we're going to give you difficulties. And they're difficult enough. They're not making it really easy, medium, and hard. You still have to kind of know the mechanics of your bosses, but it is kind of relatively easy, right? Like, it is supremely easier. And I don't know if I went the way of the butterfly or whatever, but I probably went the easiest because I want to enjoy the action and I wanted to see what the story was, right? So giving you the options of it where From Software doesn't do it, and then the other mimickers like Mortal Shell and all that stuff, they did it too. That's on you guys. You want to do not discriminate on gaming because you need our money, right? I'm being told Game Pass doesn't pay you out, so come take my cash, brother. Come take my cash. Even though I just ordered Armor Core from Software for $20. Part of it's principle, but the other part is too is that it doesn't play like that, right? So there's that. But the other thing that I think made it interesting is that I think the visuals were very good. I kept sending you some screenshots because I've seen the screenshots from the Dark Souls and even Elden Ring. I'm like, it's kind of ugly. You know what I mean? There's nothing about it that makes, I can fight dragons, which I could do any day of the week. But it doesn't like appeal to me in that sense. And so I beat it. I went hard on it. I also had like days off as well coming into it because, I had to, go from there, and I just kind of marathon some stuff. So it took me about 28 hours, almost 29. But I liked it. I gave it an 8. It gives me an opportunity to go to NeoWiz if they make a sequel, or try out some other stuff. That's what you want to do, guys. Do not discriminate against your players because we might want to buy other stuff that you make. Because there's a certain man, Hideo Kojima, who says, hey, I make a lot of weird games, and they really love some ideas. But I'm going to put in some I'm going to put in some accessibility into the games itself. That's going to make it over for everybody. When I play Death Stranding, I'm like, I don't know. I've had some hard stuff in Metal Gear because, like, you're talking about some of the other stuff, right? But Death Stranding looks weird. But, like, what if we just gave you a story mode? It's easy but not easy, but you can really get into it. And I'm like, oh, man, this just opened up. Now I'm playing at normal, I think. It's great Death Stranding, too. But that's the point. Open up to who you can get. Do not shut us out. And that's my problem with From Software. They don't want to change it. So get your diehards, but you're not gonna get my money. And my money might not matter, but you know what's better than having money, Francisco? More money.
Oh, yeah.
So 8 out of 10. And then the current Bleach Rebirth of Souls fighting game, because now I'm adding my multiplayers and fighters. I hadn't done that throughout the years, but
this is kind of I kind of didn't mention like games that were just kind of the multis that we play, and they don't really have like a story. I mean, they might, but then it's not really like. Obviously, I played Balatro finally.
Yeah. Balatro's so good.
Yeah, it is. It is fantastic.
I told you. Yeah. I had to stop it for a little bit, but if I go travel a lot, because your boy, if all things clear out, is going to be elsewhere, and he's going to be on the road for a bit. That Switch and Balatro, if I need to wind down, it's definitely happening.
Yeah, so Balatro's great. I'm playing Forza right now. Forza, the actual regular Forza right now. Just because I bought this racing wheel off of Woot. I bought this year as well for $100, by the way. So a decent racing wheel, 900 degrees of rotation, force feedback, all the stuff that you want from it, with the pedals and everything like that. And I'm just gonna put on a podcast and just drive, which is the way that I enjoy racing games. That's what I like about racing games. It's how I've been able to play Mario Kart for so long as well. I really like racing games, and there's in Game Pass, there's a few Need for Speed games that are on there that I haven't touched yet. So I'm actually excited for that. Now that Andrew's in this, and I'm trying to coax him into some stuff. There's some of those in multiplayer. Maybe we could do some of that tough stuff too. So I'm actually, I might actually have a partner for that one as well if he wants to actually hop in every now and then.
We're gonna break him. I promise you.
But you've been playing. We've had some multis because we have this downtime between now and Donkey Kong, and then but you've got Death Stranding, and unfortunately it didn't come out on PC at the same time, so I can't be a dad at the same time.
I am 3.5 hours in, and I feel like Kojima's doing something special, and I have to really curate what I send you. So I'm trying to send you just me out on a mission.
Yeah, you could, or just like send me a screenshot and be like, look how gorgeous this is, that type of stuff.
Oh, it is beautiful on Ramona. I got VR, I got that 120 FPS because it looks like the director's cut, which I played, but then some. And then I think I sent you minorly him like traveling in like a snowstorm, or not snowstorm, a sandstorm with lightning. I was like, brother, my eyes were hurting. I was contemplating. I thought I'm an old man, or it's just so well done. What they were doing there is just beautiful. I'm like, do I have to like lower the brightness on my TV? I'm like, no, I will adapt like a man. But yeah, and that's the problem because it also makes great use of haptic feedback on my controller because, I don't know how you played your Death Stranding, but because, the PS5 controller, it's so.
I play with the controller. Yeah.
How they do the haptic feedback. Like,
oh, no, yeah, I didn't have that. If I did, I can buy a PS5 controller because they do make the if you do connect it, they do have it on the PC version. So I'm going to assume whenever they do have the Death Stranding 2 on PC that they'll have a PS5 one. So I may at the very least just borrow the one from my sister's PS5 and just kind of play it.
Well, so imagine it's like, when how you'll struggle to left or right if you overload your thing, your porter, essentially, Sam, and your cargo. So the thing is, like, if you have to go right, you feel the tension in the right trigger, and you feel the tension in the left.
Okay, yeah, all the stuff that you felt in Astrobot and all stuff.
Yeah, so yeah, that's precisely the thing. So it's like, yeah, you kind of want that,
Yeah.
But it makes
more
the game.
Because
Kojima is an experienced kind of developer. He isn't like a one-note. He doesn't want to just do a great story. He wants to get you a great story game. He's an ambiance guy. It's about the sound. It's about the environment. It's about the gameplay. He's just top levels down. He just got blackballed by Konami, which is a good thing to a degree because they would not have gone for this kind of IP.
Yeah. In
a heartbeat, they would not have gone IP. They were doing gacha games for the longest time, man.
Yeah.
Get out of here with it. Mm-hmm. So it's that, and I'm also doing Pokemon Scarlet. So because now it's a fully functional game, and that I'm like 15 hours in, and there's too many Pokemons, but whatever. Do get the Pokemon Home app on your Switch because you can transfer over some of your stuff, not all of them, because they are region-specific ones you can't transfer if you played Let's Go Pikachu or when you did Shield. But I'll tell you now, man, I already kind of like it more than Shield. Shield was kind of there. I think you said the same thing, and I was trying to tell myself, oh, it's not bad, but that was my first, like, real 3D game version of it because Let's Go Pikachu was fun, but, You know what I mean?
I get it.
But this one, I'm like, hold on here. Now that I'm really seeing some stuff in, I'm like, because everything just pops, I'm like, I can really enjoy it. So I have 2 games that I probably could run both 50 hours each time for each one minimum. That I'm like, epic, we do it live, and I'll find a way for Bonanza at some point.
Yeah. Well, I know I'm gonna go.
That's why.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go in hard with that, and then. All right. So hour 55, just under 2 hours. No wrestling this time, but we'll get to that eventually.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'll give you this real quick on wrestling without it being the cage. Everything could be better, everything could be good, and sometimes it's great. And that's for all the companies that I follow. AEW has All In Texas, Hangman Page versus Mox for the title. I'm a Hangman guy, just about it. So that's all I gotta tell you for that little bit. Fuck everybody's weekly Charles Cage. And then with WWE. Evolution is this because they're counter programming, so they give the all women pay-per-view Evolution, but I felt like the build wasn't like superior to where it could have been. And then you're having Saturday Night Main Event on Sunday, Saturday Night Main Event on Sunday, then Women's Evolution or Evolution on Sunday, because they want to just beat each other up. The AEW doesn't, but WWE does because they're scared, I guess, and they just want to destroy the competition. It's wrestling. What I like, someone's gonna hate. When someone hates, I'm gonna like. But when I do bring it back, when the dust clears. We'll do a state of review like we've done a couple of times.
Yeah, usually just as a catch up and all that stuff, and obviously send stuff on the. Well, you just been,
I'm gooning, man.
Yeah, that legitimately you've been gooning and saying that Chile and various other countries are the greatest ones in the world, depending, but mainly Chile.
I mean, technically, I'm partially Chilean, according to my grandfather. I'm a little bit of everything, man. I am the American dream.
Yeah, which is why you're black.
Yeah. I ChatGPT. When everybody tells me they have a reliableness of ChatGPT, if I have any attorneys, like, yeah, I've used it in my legal briefs, I'm just going to send them that picture that you made of us. I'm like, do I look like this? Because this is where they go for me. Like,
all right. Well, that's it for us, guys. We're done. I'm out.
Take care.